You're in the middle of a conversation, maybe a disagreement with someone at work, maybe just a casual exchange. And while it's still happening, a small part of your mind quietly steps back and watches. Not fully checked out, still present, but there's something observing, almost in real time, noting what you're feeling and why, even as you're still in the middle of it. If that sounds familiar, you already know what it's like to be more self-aware than most people around you. And today, we're going to look at what that actually means. Not as a personality label, but as a set of real, specific patterns that show up in your daily life, often so quietly you might not have given them a name. The first sign is that you already know, most of the time, why you reacted the way you did. Not hours later, not after journaling about it in the moment, or very shortly after. Someone says something, and you feel a flash of irritation, and almost immediately, a second thought arrives. That reminded me of something. Or, I'm tired today, and that made it worse. Most people skip that second thought entirely. You don't. The second sign is that you catch yourself mid-sentence. You're explaining something, or defending a position, and somewhere between one word and the next, you notice, I'm not being fully honest here, or I'm saying this louder than I need to. Self-aware people edit themselves in real time, not just in hindsight. The third sign is that you felt the strange discomfort of watching yourself from the outside. Like there are two of you, one who's in the situation and one who's observing it. This isn't dissociation. It's actually a well-studied cognitive ability psychologists call metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. Most people live entirely inside their experience. You sometimes live slightly above it. The fourth sign is that you find it hard to stay angry for long, not because you suppress it, but because you understand it too quickly. The anger starts, and then almost immediately, the analysis starts. And once you understand why you're upset, the emotion loses some of its grip. This can feel like a gift and a frustration at the same time. Here's a useful way to think about it. There are reactive people and reflective people. Reactive people move from feeling to action almost instantly, with very little space in between. Reflective people, which is likely you, have a gap, a small but real pause between what happens and how they respond. That gap is where self-awareness lives. It doesn't make you slower or more hesitant. It just means your responses are more chosen than automatic. The fifth sign is that you find it genuinely difficult to do things that conflict with your values, even small things. Saying yes when you mean no, laughing at something you find unkind, going along with something that doesn't sit right. Self-aware people feel that misalignment immediately, like a small internal friction that others walk past without noticing. Have you ever been in a group setting, dinner, a meeting, a gathering, and found yourself noticing the dynamics of the room while everyone else is just in it? You see who's performing confidence they don't feel. You notice the tension between two people that nobody's naming. You catch the moment someone's smile doesn't quite reach their eyes. If that happens to you regularly, that's not overthinking. That's your self-awareness extending outward, reading the room in a way most people simply aren't wired to do. The sixth sign is that you revisit conversations. Not obsessively, not anxiously, but thoughtfully. You replay something that was said and wonder what was underneath it. You think about what you could have said differently, not out of regret, but out of genuine curiosity about how you could have shown up better. The seventh sign is that compliments make you slightly uncomfortable, not because you don't appreciate them, but because you're already aware of the parts of yourself that don't match the compliment. Self-aware people hold a more complete, more honest picture of themselves than others do, which makes simple praise feel slightly oversimplified. The eighth sign is that you tend to notice when your mood is affecting your judgment, and you try to account for it. You're in a meeting, feeling irritated about something unrelated, and there's a small voice that says, "Be careful, you're not being objective right now." Most people don't have that voice, or if they do, they don't listen to it. The ninth sign is that you're genuinely curious about why other people behave the way they do. Not to judge them, but because you've spent enough time understanding your own patterns that you naturally extend that curiosity outward. When someone is difficult or cold or inconsistent, your first instinct isn't irritation, it's wonder. What's actually going on with them? The 10th sign is that you hold your own opinions loosely. Not because you lack conviction, but because you've been wrong before and you know it. You can say, "I changed my mind about that," without it feeling like a defeat. Most people protect their opinions like they protect their identity. You've learned, somewhere along the way, that updating what you think is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. None of this means being self-aware is always comfortable. And it certainly doesn't mean people who live more in the moment and less in reflection are missing something. Some of the most joyful, present, fully alive people are the ones who feel first and analyze later. These are just two different ways of moving through the world, both real, both human. But if you recognize yourself in these patterns, if you've spent time in that quiet gap between feeling and responding, if you've caught yourself watching yourself in a difficult moment, if you've sat with a cup of coffee afterward and thought about why something landed the way it did, then you already know something about yourself that most people spend years trying to figure out. And that's not a small thing. That's actually where most meaningful change begins.